In this section, we'll take a look at some of the theology of the pastoral epistles. These letters, according to Materas, in his work, primarily address the question, how can the church faithfully maintain the deposit of faith? In other words, what's been kind of entrusted, thing that has been left. The faith here is understood as kind of a body of teachings in the face of false teachings that distorts the gospel, that in other words, that distorts what is being proclaimed, the good news that is being announced by the church. Again, Matera focuses that there is one God who wills the salvation of all, one mediator between God and humanity, and that mediator is Jesus Christ, through whom Savior God has manifested himself. So it is God reveals himself. He manifests himself in the person of Jesus Christ. The church is understood as the household of faith, a key metaphor that kind of ties in the way in which Paul addresses the situation, particularly in 1 Timothy, but also in Titus. And because it is this household, this dwelling of God's people, entrusted as it were with the truth, with this body of beliefs, it must function now in an orderly way around this sound doctrine. God's grace has appeared in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, and this offers salvation to all people. So the idea that salvation is something available for all occurs in the pastorals. And in the pastorals, there is a kind of a technical sense of the word appearing. And here the appearing is part of the mystery of our religion. Appearing particularly has connotations with the Roman imperial mythology, because the emperor is someone who also appears, and his appearance is this majestic sign of his authority and his control. And so now what we have is, for Christians, the appearing, the royal appearing that they anticipate is that which is of Jesus. The glory of Jesus Christ will appear in the future. So while there has been an appearance already of God's grace in the form of Jesus, there is still a future appearance that's going to come. Finally, a few more points here about the theology. They understand that there is only one God. God is understood in the way that diaspora Jews talked about him. In particular, there's language that describe God that would be common in diaspora Hellenistic Jewish literature. And so Paul is using that same kind of verbiage to describe God as Hellenistic Jews would. God is also Savior. Everything God created is good and can be received, obviously with kind of a word of prayer, a word of faith. It's supposed to be received with thanksgiving. God's work advances by faith and not controversial speculations. So concerns about quarreling and arguments and a very unpeaceful, tumultuous environment is not conducive with the way in which God works. Instead, by people acting in faith, hanging on to the faith, carrying on in faith, that's how God's work advances. Jesus Christ is Lord, and so that idea again of the ethical implications of Jesus' identity. And Jesus Christ came into the world to save sinners. So his role is his redemptive role is emphasized as well in the pastorals. And that gives just a little bit of insights to some of the key features of that theology.